Now that me and the Avengers have defeated Thanos and saved the universe, I can finally retire from this world. Take a break, if you will. Metal sucks! It appears I'm needed elsewhere. Scubby McDucky is back in the greenhouse, baby. Let's get it. Now, I've been seeing some tier lists running around these internets lately, and I gotta say, I don't agree with them. There's some fast food tier lists that are, let's all agree, pretty egregious, not the best. If you put Chipotle above F tier, you're failing. Qdoba exists, and their food tastes different. It doesn't taste like the same mixture of shit and bad queso every fucking meal, okay? But we're not here to talk about fast food today. We're here to talk about the elite metal genres, baby. That's right, you heard me. We're talking about the definitive, end-all, be-all guide to metal. Now, I'm joking a little bit, you know, this is just my personal opinion on where I would rank these metal genres, and not every metal genre is going to be in this list, unfortunately, just because that would be insane if every genre was on here, so I tried to keep it to the more popular ones, so keep that in mind if your favorite genre isn't on here. Don't eat my head off like a little praying mantis. With that being said, let's get right into the tiers. Let's just start off, let's just go in order of the list. It looks like we got Mitch Lucker here, so deathcore is first. Deathcore for me, let's see here. Deathcore's cool and it's fun and it has its moments where I'm like, you know, you get that face, that stank going when you get a nice breakdown or a good riff that really just hits you. But I gotta be honest, I'm not sitting down and listening to more than like an album or a couple singles of deathcore in a row before I need a break, and you know, you need some other genres to spice it up. I can't just sit down and straight listen to just deathcore for hours anymore like I used to. It's just not, doesn't fit that anymore. So as far as longevity goes with deathcore, gotta give it a couple minus points there. I'm gonna put deathcore, I'm gonna put it in the middle here, like a B. B for Brie. I was thinking C, but I'll give it a B just because it has a soft spot in my heart when I was in like, you know, 2008, 2007. So we'll put deathcore in a B. Next up, it looks like we got symphonic metal. So that's like a Cradle of Filth inspired type of, you know, that gothic-y is symphonic as a whole. I think it covers that broad term of symphonic. So anything that falls in the category of having that symphony style involved with metal is going to be classified in here. And I personally respect genres like this, and I really like the atmospheric characteristics that they're going for and the theatrics of it all. I can really respect that. I don't personally listen to it, so I got to give it some critique points on that just because it doesn't keep my personal interest. So as far as a broader ear, it doesn't really, you know, it's unique to who it is inviting towards, is my point. So I gotta give it some dock points there. I think the people that do like it really like it and appreciate what it has, and it accentuates things like deathcore. I'm gonna put symphonic in a C. They're gonna be my first C tier, is symphonic metal. Don't disagree with me, you'll burn. I spoke to God the other day. You don't know? You can't disprove that. Alright, up next we got metalcore. It looks like an old Asking Alexandria picture is on here. I'm hot as shit, actually, so I'm gonna take this off. Whew, shedding my jacket like Danny Warsnop shedded being a scene kid. You seen that motherfucker? So metalcore here is, it's broad, again, like I said, I'm gonna keep explaining this because I suck and I don't trust you guys to get the point. So there's a picture of Asking Alexandria, but we all know metalcore is a huge term. So there's bands like Killswitch Engage and As They Lay Dying that are also metalcore, but then there's like, you know, the glittery side where it's like the pretty boy singing like this, and some would argue a Data Member, the post-hardcore or whatever. We're throwing that all kind of in this lumping it all in there. And for me, I think knowing that it covers such a wide variety and how long it's been evolving and growing and how many subgenres have come off of metalcore, which is already kind of a subgenre, is really impressive. And I think for me personally, metalcore is the one I listen to the most, and I think metalcore works the best for other genres to come into it, if that makes any sense. So like you have extreme metal, right? It's like really hard and fast. You can't like put like funk in that, or like a a groove in that really, or like Doom, it's so slow you can't like add in those types of elements. But with metalcore, you can get away with not having singing or only having singing and still being heavy. Like you have like Dance Gavin Dance that kind of falls in metalcore, but then you have, you know, bands like Parkway Drive that are also metalcore. So it covers a huge variety, and I think that kind of makes metalcore a little overpowered, and I honestly think metalcore is a little S tier, in my opinion. I'm sorry, those are just my opinions. I'm not saying it's better than everything else, I'm just saying it has a little more advantage than everyone else. Anyway, next person, or next genre of metal. What is this? There's a dragon on this one, so I think it's power metal. This is like running through the hills into fire, searching for the dragon slayer. Things like that, you know, very like happy thrash is kind of what that genre would be. The very thrashy, but not positive, but upbeat. Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got faces to go, gotta follow my rainbow. I'm allergic to bees, sorry. Hopefully I don't fucking die out here while doing this tier list. We can put me in F tier for being allergic to bees. That seems like a pretty weak stat to have. Alright, so power metal for me has always kind of just been, like I've tried to give it a chance, I genuinely have. I've had people that listen to this type of music send me songs to listen to, and I was like, yo, you have one chance, give me your best song to listen to. And for me personally, it just has not caught my interest. I feel like the songs are way too long, and what they're about a lot of the times don't catch my interest enough to make me sit there and listen to the song for that long. Like, as a vocalist, I really like creative vocals and hooks that catch your ear, or lyrics that are thought-provoking, or at least tell a story fluently and well. And I think that they tell their stories, but they feel a lot uninspired a lot of times. And I'm not saying the genre as a whole, I just think as what I hear a lot of the times. So for me personally, this kind of metal's a bit of a D tier. I'm gonna put it a little bit below symphonic. I still respect the instrumentation, and I know how difficult it is to play that type of speed all the time, and especially for that long. That's really impressive. The dexterity on that is pretty crazy, but as far as listenability, you know, it's not there for me. It's just not doing it for me, dog. Up next we got death metal, brother. Death metal is a interesting genre because it covers a lot of notes as well. I feel like there's a lot of bands that pull inspiration. There's a lot of deathcore bands that pull inspiration from death metal. There's a lot of technical death metal bands that, you know, have that death metal feel to it, but are a lot more techy or groovy. So I think giving the respects to death metal and what it has influenced and branched, I honestly think that death metal is an A tier metal genre, just because of how much influence death metal has. I think the fan base is what keeps it from being an S tier genre personally. The fan base kind of weighs that down with all their sweaty back knee and their unwashed parted hair, but the music is good, and I think looking past the insane lyrics on a lot of these, the raw instrumentation and the grit behind a lot of these bands really is unmatched in other genres, and you can tell a lot of people are inspired by those genres, and it reflects in other subgenres, and I think that is deserving of it being an A tier. Up next we got doom metal. So this is doom, stoner. It's like doom, stonery metal, you know, slower stuff. Not breakdowns. This is riffs that you can go file your taxes in between strums, that kind of slow. For me personally, I've always thought that this genre is a bit of a joke. I've asked people to defend it to me, and they just have not been able to. If you like it, that's fine, but if you can't defend the genre that you listen to, I don't think you're basically the sloth of this tier list, and that deserves an F, in my opinion. Doom is F tier in this household, baby. It's too slow. I gotta wait far too long for far too little payoff. You ever heard that one band? What are they called? Dope Smoker? This is 4 minutes. Most songs would be over by now. Still that intro riff, but now there's drums. This is 8 minutes in. Okay, I might cut that bit out. Doom. Doom, for me, personally, it's just too slow. I'm like Sonic, I gotta go fast. I gotta get my whole face changed and I gotta go fast. I can't be that slow all the time. It's kind of my gripes with a lot of deathcore stuff, like Acacia Strain. I like that band, but man, they are so slow and it just loses my interest if the song is more than 3 minutes long. It's like, okay, but like, when are we gonna get there? I wanna hear the next song. I'm just kind of bored now. Let's move on, dude. F tier. Next, genre. Black metal. You can tell by the face paint. It's not Halloween in this house, it's Black Metal. And honestly, okay, black metal's always kind of been like a little fun gag for me, and I know people think that I hate it. I don't hate the genre. There's actually a lot of, I love blackened bands, bands that have a blackened sound to them. Like there's blackened deathcore bands, blackened death metal bands, blackened tech bands that all have that kind of like black metal-y feel to them, and I really like that feel. I just don't personally like the raw, just like, yeah, when it just sounds like there's no like trying in the vocals at all. Vocals are huge for me, and sometimes the instrumentals are cool in black metal, and the crazy aesthetics and the theatrics of it and the commitment to that stuff's crazy and commendable as hell, and I gotta give it respect points because it's like the peacock method, you know, you kind of just intimidate with a flare. You don't need the substance, you can kind of just like, oh, look how crazy this thing is. It's, you know, it's what it is, and I'm sure it's shocking live. It's like going to like an EDM show, you know, you don't go there because you love the music, you go there for the feel and the party vibes, right? So with black metal, it's kind of like a cultural thing. Like you can go there as like an obscure outcast and find this like crazy dark world and flourish in it, and I can understand why that would be something to be defensive about. I feel like this genre is a lot more personal for a lot of people than most genres, and that I can respect. Not my favorite genre, but I think like death metal, it has inspired aplenty, and it has deserved itself. It has placed itself up in the B tier, honestly, right up there with deathcore. So you guys can fuck yourselves. Haha, I put black metal and deathcore in the same category. La la. Up next, we got folk metal. We got the Horngesturgen. Folk metal is a genre. I'm not gonna pretend like I listen to folk metal or know much about it or the culture of it. I've heard the genre. I am aware of what it sounds like. In the context of like Fable, I'm sure it's nice to sit down and listen to it. Maybe if I was churning some butter or lobbing hatchets at a log while wearing one of those bonnets on my head, maybe I'd like it more, but I just feel like other genres do what they do but better. Folk metal is an F tier for me. Folk belongs in F for folk. Go fuck yourself tier. Alright, now that half of you have clicked off this video because you're not happy about my tier list, let's move on to gent, because that's now a genre. So it's, when I was a kid, gent just was like a way that you could play guitar. Like it was just a certain accent you could put in like a riff that, you know, gave it that like bop 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 bop, that like 0-1-0-1 kind of binary staccato-y vibe, like kind of that Meshuggah did, and a couple bands, like very few bands were taking inspiration from it at the time, but like even when I was in high school, it was like 2008, 2009, people were doing these riffs, and it was cool, but now it's become its own thing where you can have a whole song just be that, which is, you know, a little boring. But there are bands that do it really well, and I think it's, the influence of gent has really progressed a lot of bands, and it gives really cool beat. Fucking God, scary out here. I think it has given a lot of genres more opportunities to thrive, and you know, it's kind of like when Tunnel Throats came into the deathcore community. People got real crazy with that, and honestly it's opened up a new window for other vocalists, and I feel like it's expanded the genre as a whole and what people are capable of doing, and it's kind of pushed the bar a little bit. I feel like, as stupid as it sounds, gent has helped elevate, you know, metalcore and core genres mainly, but also some progressive bands to have more of those like impressive, you know, picking hand riffs. It's like influence people to practice their picking hand more and get that fast like ba 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 shit in there. So I don't know, but gent has its place and it's helped a lot. I don't think it's the greatest as a genre pretty weak as a whole genre. I mean, there's only so much you can do with gent as a genre. So I'm gonna have to put gent. I'm gonna put it right up here with symphonic metal in a C. Because I understand its weight, and I know that people like it, and there are some songs I like, but when your gent song is 5 minutes long, and it's just like, ba 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 ba, like it's just, I just want it to end, you feel? Good gent bands are auras. They do gent pretty well. Okay, next up we got extreme metal. My mouth is getting dry out here. All these bees got me sweating, got me nervous. Up next we got extreme metal. So this includes bands, like I said earlier, this is like the grindcore, this is the slam, this is the blackened heavy puke, you know, the porno grind. This is everything that has a band logo you can't really tell if it's a sweat stain or, you know, a bursted open hot dog. This is this genre. And this genre is fun, okay? I don't like porno grind at all. There's some grind bands I like, for sure. There's some sludgy, slammy bands that I enjoy. Porno grind specifically is really funny to me, but this genre is, as a whole, extreme metal. Bands that are extreme and over the top have provided me with hours of fun, and I feel like that at heart, that's the point. A lot of these people are kind of fucked up, I think, and they're just kind of like, this is their outlet to get their fucked up weird thoughts out, and that's, sure, whatever. But it's also a fun thing for people to come and like, look at this shocking, crazy thing. Like bands like Torso Fuck or Cemetery Rapist or Cock and Ball Torture. You know, it's things like that are fun for me to show people and be like, hey, guess what they're saying. You know, it's a funny thing you can come together, and I think just off of that alone, the entertainment value puts it at a higher. It's like picking a cheesy character in Smash. You know, this is the Petey Piranha of the tier list, and unlike Zero, I think Petey Piranha is a good fighter, and I'm gonna put extreme metal right up here in B tier, baby. I got a hair in my mouth, and I don't even think it's mine. Okay, up next we got industrial metal. That's you know, bands like, they got that Static X kind of vibe, that Rob Zombie-ish, like, you know, like very just like heavy, like you think of like a metal Rammstein, like you think of a metal plant, like an industrial park, people playing on big metal drums, like early Slipknot even has those kind of vibes in it. Industrial metal is niche, in my opinion. I feel like industrial metal is not many people's favorite genre. I feel like industrial metal is really fun, and when it's used in other genres, it elevates them in a great way, but industrial metal as a genre, honestly, it's kind of just a D tier in my opinion. A straight up industrial band, I feel like I wouldn't like. It has to have some other influences with those industrial riffs and vocal styles. Up next we got thrash metal, baby! Raining blood! You know? So thrash metal is just, it's a thing. I don't like thrash metal. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just not for me. It's just too much noise going on. Like, it's like how I feel about Rings of Saturn. Like, I like Rings of Saturn, and they have songs that I will put in a playlist and be like, that's a sick song, but I am not sitting down and listening to a full Rings of Saturn album. I've listened to all their albums, but it's just, you know, it's just one of those things, like, you can appreciate it and respect it, but it's not something I'm sitting down and just jamming, and it's just too much to absorb sometimes. If I'm gonna sit down and listen to an album that I want to absorb, I'm gonna put on some Devin Townsend or some Contortionist type of stuff. For me, at least. Thrash is just too fast-paced. I feel like if I was still moshing as much, like, I like the heavier stuff when I mosh. Thrash pits are like circle pits and stuff, you know, I push pits, and that was fun when I was younger, but I don't know, I like the rougher pits, personally, if I'm gonna, you know, get in a pit. So to me, it's just too much happening at once. Like, there's definitely some good shit that's come from it. Like, Slayer obviously has its place. I've never liked Slayer as a band personally, but who the fuck isn't thrown down when Raining Blood comes on? Like, let's be real. It definitely has its respects and it has its place. For me, on this list, it's my list, so I can do what I want, and I'm gonna put it right here in D list, right with that fucking power metal. It's about the same, you know. It's just they're like the yin and yang of each other. We got anger and we got happiness, right? We got our contrast. We got our Finn and we got our Lich. The perfect contrast. Alright, up next we got, hell yeah, hail Jesus, brother, we got Christian metal, because this is a genre that exists. This is like putting Alien Core in this list. how is this a genre? So this is just like metalcore or deathcore even that has a positive message about worshiping God, about worshiping God and praising Jesus in like an over-the-top way. Like there's a lot of Christian bands that got away with their message and you didn't even really know it was about God. And that's, to me, the best way of doing it, is presenting your message without shoving it in someone's face and down their throat. Like, be metaphorical about it to where you can imply it to your own life without having to be Christian, because it immediately divides your audience and your potential audience. Like, people that aren't Christian immediately probably won't like you just because of that. Like, or, you know, if that's what they think your gimmick is, like, oh, I'm not Christian, I probably won't relate, so they probably will just write it off. So I think the best way to be a Christian band is to just not even announce that you're a Christian band and just have those themes in your songs, like Devil Wears Prada did, or like Early August Burns Red, and stuff like that. That was the best way to do it. But considering this is like hardly a genre, I'm gonna put Christian metal in F tier, personally. Just because it's like, you know, Devil Wears Prada is a metalcore band. Like, they're a different genre, you know. If there's strictly like a Christian metal band, I probably don't like it. Like, that's just how it be sometime, fam. Please don't put me up on that cross. My arms are tired.
Oh, baby.
Anyway, up next we got heavy metal. That's stuff like Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. Metallica. This is like that true OG metal, you feel? And honestly, gotta put this shit up in that young S tier. For me, heavy metal did what it needed to. It branched the start of everything that I love about the music that I listen to. Like, I grew up with two very different contrasts of music. My mom listened to funk and disco, and my dad listened to rock and metal. And I grew up liking both of those a lot, and I still do to this day, and it shows a lot in my influences and what I like. But heavy metal for me has always been something, even when I was very, very young, that I've always respected and always appreciated when I heard it. It was something about this type of music that it just captured whatever that era of people were going through. I feel like this genre just embodied it perfectly in music. There's so much uniqueness in this genre between, you know, think about a band like with a singer like Ozzy Osbourne versus a band like Metallica. Like, those are so different. I know Metallica is more of like a thrashy. I'm gonna have to dish all this Metallica stuff, aren't I? Okay, think about a band like, you know, think about a singer like Ozzy Osbourne, right? Like that voice that he has, and then somebody like Robert Plant. Like, they're similar but so different, and I don't know, guys don't sing like that as much as they used to. Like, if it's higher pitched now, it more so has like a whinier pitch to it, and it doesn't have like that manly yell. Whereas like this 80s type of style metal, they always had this like, wah! Like this very powerful, it never felt feminine, it always felt just controlled and like raw, and it was like a bunch of dudes could sing like that, and it never felt like it was belittled upon like it is now. Like, a lot of people, like metalcore bands, they get shit on for singing like that, but back in the day, bands like Judas Priest were singing like that, and they still sing like that. It's just a different tonality, and what they're singing about is different, so people appreciate and respect it differently. Like, for me, I got into metalcore when I was in junior high, which is when you're, you know, into whinier shit like that. So like Ask Alexandria and stuff, but it led me into liking heavier bands like these that I'm getting to. So I think that solidified its place in S tier. We got 2 S tiers, that's crazy. Up next, we got new metal. Yeah, we got the new metal coming up. You at what? We're gonna bury you with a shovel out in the yard. Yeah, don't try hard. Yeah, respect. I love new metal. Honestly, new metal gets a bad rep, but like, this is the angst of my youth. This is like the skater kids that wore Janko jeans and, you know, wore dark clothing and played Halo 3 custom maps and drank Monster Energy drinks. Like, new metal was our shit. Like, it was that weird crossover for like nerdy kids that also like to skate. Like, I don't know, it was like a poor trailer park kid type of music, at least for me. Like, shit like Limp Bizkit and early Slipknot and Korn. Like, I don't know, it was something about that. You could like be by yourself and just like thrash around and just kind of get out that angst of just feeling like underclassed and underappreciated as a person. Like, new metal really captured that angst for me, at least. It was like punk for a lot of people. That's what new metal did for me, and I think it did that for a lot of people, and the people that it didn't do that for, it's kind of a joke to them, and that's very understandable. But for me, nu metal is an A tier. I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but yo, fuck with me. I love nu metal. Nu metal's awesome. I love rap. I grew up a lot listening to rap too, and hearing metal with rap. Like I said too, I like funk, so hearing funk with like guitar and stuff, I love that. Hearing rap with metal, I love that. Maybe we can hear a little funk and rap. I'm about that too. I like that. So that's why I'm putting nu metal up here in A tier. Up next, we got glam metal. Come for me, 1, 2, 3, you know who we're talking about. We're talking about the Motley Crues. We're talking about that glam life, baby. We're talking about those Steel Panthers of the world. This was a unique genre. There's bees everywhere. This was a unique genre, and honestly, I feel like the people that were in it thought that they were hotter shit than they ever were. But it is a genre that is solidified in time, and I think it deserves its respect for what it did. It is one of the strangest genres to come out and thrive as hard as it did. It was this weird time where men could be androgynous, and it worked to their advantage in a world where being gay was not cool yet. It was not kosher and not accepted worldwide, you know. This was a time where you could get bullied a lot and beat up and hurt for being gay, so to be fronting a heavier band and with that aesthetic of like, we fuck girls but also we look like girls, like that's kind of hard. That's a pretty big flex at the time, and there's a lot of respect to that. And if they had held up to that to now, you know, there could be even more respect to be held. It's more of a mighty have fallen situation for glam metal. I think it had its time, and I don't think it'll ever be replicated to that degree. I feel like bands might try to make like a small time comeback of it, but I don't think glam metal will ever be socially accepted as much as it was outside of like Steel Panther playing off of the nostalgia crowd. But when those people are old enough, that crowd, it'll die off. Sorry, glam metal, I'm gonna have to put you in D tier. You're fun. I don't think you deserve F tier, but you sure as shit are not a C or above. And that's just facts. Up next, we got pirate metal. Cool, I guess. Swashbuckle. Yahargy-margy. Yahargy-margy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if I was a pirate, I'd like it. But I'm not a pirate, so... you know. F tier it is. No booty free. What, like, let's be real. Pirate metal? Like, come on. Why is that a genre? It's so unique. That should just be like a songs. Those should just be songs that thrash metal or like Celtic influenced bands make. Not are there really that many pirate influenced people out there? It's like making LARPing into a genre of music. Like, is that what folk metal is? That's an F tier too. Fuck you, nerds. Up next, we got Viking metal, and I'm a little scared of them, so I'm gonna put them in C tier just to be mutual. Also, like, I feel like that's a little more respectable to commit to. You like commit to being a Viking. You want to be a pirate? Like, what are you actually out there on the Seven? Are you sailing? Come on, like I've seen Viking like the weddings and shit that they do. That stuff's crazy. Like there's like shooting fucking boats with flaming arrows and getting their teeth carved and shit. Like, if you're about that life and you got that whole Thor aesthetic type, if you're just telling me that you worship like Thor and Loki and stuff, and like that's pretty out there, that's pretty weird, dude. But I can respect the lifestyle choice. The music too, it covers a lot. I feel like if you want to lump Celtic in there, please don't sue me. I know they're different, but for the sake of this, Viking and Celtic, that kind of vibe, the like slower, like walking into battle, Lord of the Rings type of music, it's pretty cool, as well as the, you know, shooting archers and bows and stuff into battle. So Viking metal covers, you know, more than I feel the other aforementioned genres would cover. I'm probably gonna get the most shit for putting thrash and power metal in D above Viking metal, but I'm still kind of afraid of Vikings, so they're staying there. Anyway, guys, this has been the only true definitive guide to metal genres. You're not allowed to have a different opinion, so don't go to the comments. If you type a different opinion, it'll just disappear. So don't even waste your time trying, buddy. And it'll just go in the garbage. I sound like I didn't choose that. You think I called up YouTube and was like, hey, can you hook me up with Juice WRLD? Thanks for watching. And if you want to see a more in-depth version of this between myself and Mr. Jared Dines, Mr. YouTuber Big Cock Jared Dines. We have a video up on our channel that is going to put both of our personal tier lists together, and we're going to argue our points and see why we chose the genres that we chose. So if you want to see us go head to head, then check out that video. If you want to see Jared's video where he does what I just did, then check that one right here. Thank you for watching. Peace out, Cub Scout. Check it. Please, Vikings, do not come after me. I did what you asked. Please do not hurt my family. Give me back my racist pieces.